everyone. I'm Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear, coming to you live on Facebook, on Instagram, Mama Bear Live. Let me know if you can hear me. Tonight's topic is backyard roosters. So I learned some new things about roosters that I think you guys will like. Again, let me know if this mic's working properly. So backyard roosters, and you guys can let me know where you are from and if you have chickens or roosters, if you have chickens or just chickens and roosters. So Tiffany, let me know if you can hear me. If we're going to talk about bird flu, and we are going to talk about love. So love doves. I kept it like bird themed, love doves or dove love. So however you want to look at that. So Tiffany, so Alyssa says mic's working. Tiffany says lighting's much brighter. That's hilarious because it didn't change lighting at all. Hi from Northern Colorado. Hey Pam. Hey Monique. Hey Emily. Hi Tanya. Hi Lisa. Talia's 5th birthday. Happy birthday, Talia. Happy birthday, girl. She's the cutest. Hey, Jen. Hi, all these amazing, awesome people. Thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight's topic is on birds and your health, really. And I'll link that together and some interesting things we learned this weekend, because I have to admit, I was very confused about this one thing. Some of you guys are gonna be like, yeah, I didn't know that either. And some of you guys are gonna be like, yeah, I totally knew that. Hi, Christy. Hi, Giselle. Hi, Rabbit's Roost. Emily says, Kansas City, no birds for me, but my son has chickens. Cool. So we would like, I've never had chickens my whole entire life. We would like to have chickens, right? And Jason's aunt is being so cool, and she's going to give us some eggs and let us borrow an incubator. And we're still trying to figure out the chicken coop. So if you guys have chicken coop recommendations, let me know. We are in Florida. It is hot, and I do not want to spend hours cleaning out a coop. So let me know. I was looking at omelet. So those of you that know omelet is a weird looking coop. It's actually made out of like a composite plastic, and it has a little tray in there. You slide it out. It looks like it's pretty predator proof as far as the chicken run, because I want to have a coop with a chicken run. And in our county, we're allowed to have 4 chickens, so something big enough to hold 4 chickens and give them lots of good space. And so I was like, cool, Jason's aunt. I said, hey, can we go to lunch, and you can tell me all about, like, give me training on chickens. And you would think, right, going to school for a million years. I mean, so I went to middle school, elementary school, middle school, high school, 9 years of college. You would think in all that education that I would learn some kind of life skill, like balancing a checkbook or learning about taxes or learning about chickens or learning about cooking. And we did have home ec, and we did learn how to cook some not good for you food. But you would think that you would learn some life skills, like survival skills, and we didn't. And so I know nothing about chickens other than what I've learned from Jason's aunt, some of you cool patients, and one of my friends, Sylvia. And so, Jason's aunt was like, hey, when you guys are ready to start your chickens, let me know. And I'll give you some eggs and the incubator to borrow. And then you need a coop. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like researching. So I don't know if you guys are like researchers. So I'm a researcher. So I spent I don't know, I was working on our level 1 quantum nutrition course. So in between PowerPoints, I was researching on chicken coops. And there's so many different coops and so many different styles and so many different materials that they're made out of, and then chicken wire versus hardware screens versus, fort, making like your chickens in a fort and all these different things, right? And then I thought, well, if Jason's aunt gives us chicken eggs, how does she know which eggs are just like eggs to eat and which eggs are fertilized eggs? And so you guys can let me know, how do you know? How do you know that? I don't know. I think my father actually said, or my mother said, you take the egg and you put it up to a light and you see if there's a chicken, an embryo in there. So you guys, those that know about chickens, Let me know about that. Ashley, you have a friend in DeBerry that makes coops. Cool. I would love that data. I would love to support somebody locally. Lisa says Tractor Supply sells coops. That's true. I have seen some Tractor Supply ones. Christy says we have chickens and ducks and 3 different roosters. Oh my goodness. Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about roosters because I learned some stuff about roosters. Lissa says they found a cool company she found a cool company called Carolina Coops. Cool. Sal is also prepping for chickens. Cool. So this is going to be a good um, a good um, a good episode for people if you want to have chickens or you already have chickens. It's going to be a good episode for you. But also, I want to talk about bird flu and some of the other stuff that's out there and how that relates, and then we'll wrap it up at the end. But I love that you guys are prepping. I love that you guys are looking to be more self-sustained. I love that you guys are doing really cool things, as far as raising chickens and trying to eat healthier and that kind of thing. So I don't know. If you guys let me know, how do you know if the egg is fertilized? I don't know. I don't know that. Do you put it up? Do you put the egg up to the light and see? So let me know if that's right, because I honestly still don't know. Lucy says you can eat fertilized eggs. So if you have a rooster, the eggs are often fertilized. Okay, so you can eat that. But how long can they hang out? How long can they hang out in your coop before they like open it? Like, I would freak out. I don't know about you guys, but I would freak out if I cracked open the egg and there was like a little baby embryo in there. Like, that would, I don't know, that would not be yuck. That would be yucky to me. Haley says we have some chickens and ducks. Some people are allergic to chicken eggs and they can have duck eggs. Yep. If you've never had a duck egg, they are much bigger than chicken eggs and they have kind of like a greasier, gamier taste, if you guys can agree with that. And then Lucy says you just pick the fertilized part out and you eat it. You eat the fertilized part or you eat the egg? I think you mean you eat the egg. Okay, got that. So I think maybe I've eaten fertilized eggs and I just didn't know. All right. So you collect the eggs every day, so no worries. So you're not going to have little babies hatch because they need to be sat on, right? So then I was like, you know what? I don't know, as an adult, I do not know how a rooster fertilizes eggs, right? I don't know. And like, we had some funny conversations with this weekend. Like, does the rooster, like the chicken lays the egg and then the rooster comes by and does his magic? I'll keep this PG. Did like the act happen and then the chicken lays the egg, so it was just a very interesting conversation that we had, and we came up to some conclusions. So we Googled how do chickens mate, which was very interesting because I didn't know. And so Jason found a video where there's a rooster and the rooster was like chasing the chicken around, right? Like chasing this chicken around, and she's like flying and like running and trying to get away. And he caught her and he jumped on her back and then shoved her head in the dirt and did his thing. And I was like, wow, that's very I don't even have a word for it. You guys can, you guys can let me know how you would describe that. What word you would describe? Brutal? I don't know. Is that a good word of describing the rooster? And so Sal says rooster steps on the chicken. Yep. Rooster jumps on her back and does his thing. And then I was wondering, like, okay, how often, right? Which makes this conversation get interesting. And so 10 to 30 times a day, roosters, 10 to 30 times a day, they have the act. They want to reproduce, or they try to reproduce, or they do reproduce. And so I was like, oh my gosh, if we were looking to create a stamina supplement or a aphrodisiac supplement or a libido supplement, I guess that would be the best word, a libido supplement, it would be freaking hilarious to name the supplement. You guys don't steal this now. Name the supplement like Rooster Juice. Wouldn't that be hilarious? That would be so hilarious, because a lot of human men suffer from low testosterone. And why are they suffering from low testosterone? Well, they're consuming too much soy. They're being exposed to too much plastics. They're getting too much estrogens in their system. And so that's why you can see someone and you're not quite sure if it's male or female. And I'm not being mean. I don't know what the word is, but I'm not being mean. It's because that person's hormones are so imbalanced that their physiology is not, it's not apparent whether that's male or female, right? And I think that's also what's happening with guys wanting to compete in female sports, right? Like they identify as female, and I think it's because the hormones are so unbalanced that they not quite sure what's happening, right? And so I'm, on one way as a female athlete, I'm super pissed about it because when I ran track, if I had some guy run track, I would be like, what's the point? Or like, why even race? He's going to kill me. Male physiology and female physiology are different. Males have different muscle structure. Males have more muscle structure. So there's no way, I shouldn't say no way, but it's unlikely that a female will beat a male in track if the male is in any kind of decent shape. So Rooster Juice, you guys can let me know. Rooster Juice, would you want a supplement like that? I don't even know how you get Rooster Juice, but roosters, also known as cocks, definitely have really, really, really good libido. I now understand how fertilization occurs. We also watched a very interesting video. I will find the link for you later. I'll make a little note on how what happens with the egg and how it goes down into the different systems in the female chicken, and how the white part of the egg forms, albumin, if I remember correctly, and how the yolk forms and how the shell forms. Is very interesting. And then my friend Sylvia was teaching me that actually when chickens hatch, when chickens lay eggs, they have a chicken song or a egg song, and I didn't know that. And it makes sense because actually I think my sister made a joke on this, because can you imagine this big old egg? They take calcium from their system, and that's why it's good to feed your chickens a source of calcium like oyster shells or some kind of source of calcium, because they need calcium to form the outside of the egg. And so I can't even imagine, human females release eggs on our cycle, right before our cycle. So I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what it would feel like for like a rock, basically, like a softer rock. I mean, eggshells are hard. You got to hit it for it to break. To come out a chicken vagina, like that has to be uncomfortable. So I can see how they would be like, "Pop, pop, pop, and then that comes out, and then you have the song, right? So anyways, learned a lot about roosters, learned a lot about chickens. If you guys are interested in having your own chickens, it's a great way from a homeschooling standpoint. It's a great way to teach your kids a life skill that they could actually use. You get organic food. So of course, if the better you feed your chickens, the better healthy eggs that you will have. And I just think it's super cool. So we're totally getting chickens, or we're totally getting eggs. We're totally going to go through that. Any coop suggestions, put them in the comments. We have people on this live from all over the place. So, don't feel bad if it's not from Florida. Pop that link on. Any chicken suggestions, go ahead and post that. And so, yeah, roosters libido is no joke. No joke, 10 to 30 times a day. And then just really interesting in the physiology, how the eggs form, how the chicken passes. I don't even know, lays the egg. I guess that's the right word, lays the egg, and how all that works. So really cool homeschool lesson. I'll post the video that we found that really brings it up. It's funny. I think it's like from another country. Then it has subtitles, but it's a very good lesson on physiology. And so you can use that for homeschooling. You can use it for yourself because it's interesting. And most people, as an adult, I didn't know how that all occurred. All right. So then bird flu, the more I learn about chickens actually can get diseases just like humans and other animals can. And it was very interesting to see how some people will feed their chickens feed with antibiotics. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you feed your chicken feed with antibiotics, guess what? You've now compromised the chicken's digestive tract. You've now compromised the chicken's immune system. You've now compromised the chicken's health. And the healthier your chicken is, the better the egg. The sicker your chicken is, the less quality egg, right? So same thing in humans. The healthier the female and the male are, it sounds like animal husbandry, right? Breeding. The healthier the mama is, the healthier the papa is, the healthier baby is, right? And so I was starting to look into chicken feed, and I'm like, they have antibiotics on that in that chicken feed, and they have antibiotics in this chicken feed. And so if they're giving the chickens antibiotics in the feed, guess what we're also consuming? We're consuming antibiotics. So there's no reason there. It is not surprising why people have issues with their digestive tract, right? If you consume an antibiotic, it wipes up the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And it takes a while to repopulate that. So I was just thinking in the animal world, oh my gosh, what about the cattle that are giving antibiotics? What about the chickens that are given antibiotics? And so it is, to me, it is crucial to have healthy sources of food for your family. You know, it almost sounds like we're going back to Great Depression times, but really, I think we've been, I will admit, and you guys can tell me if it is, if it's true or not, but I feel really spoiled. My grandfather went through the Great Depression, and I remember as a kid, I didn't want to finish my food because I was full, and he would be like, "Are you going to eat that?" And I'm like, "Oh, Grandpa, I'm full." And he's like, "Okay, give me your plate." And he's like, and he eat it because he went through a time where his family didn't have very much food, and they had a garden and they raised rabbits. And my father was telling me, I didn't know this. My father told me that my grandpa and grandma raised white turkeys. Why white turkeys? I don't know. You guys can let me know the difference between a white turkey and not a white turkey, but they raised white turkeys and rabbits and had a garden. And so, God forbid something happened, they had food, right? So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I like the idea of, okay, I have emergency supply food, I have dehydrated food, and then I like the idea of having animals, having poultry that will provide something of use, and in the meantime, it'll teach my child about animals, about taking care of things, about production of eggs, giving her responsibility and chores and all that stuff. I just think it's cool. And then, I like all the benefits from it. All right, so read some comments. Let's see. You don't need a rooster to have a chicken lay eggs. That is true. You do not need a rooster to lay eggs, but you do need a rooster to have chicks. Let's see. You don't need a rooster. Yep, that's true. Get more hens than roosters. One is enough, depending. Yeah, roosters are no joke. Now, some counties won't even let you have a rooster. I don't know what this county says. I know roosters can be very aggressive, and now I see why. Oh my gosh. It would be very interesting. I'm actually going to look this up. I want to know, and maybe you guys know this. I don't know this. I would want to know, what is the testosterone level on a rooster? I would assume that they strut for a reason, right? They're called cocks for a reason. I would want to know, what is their level of testosterone? Because like this animal, I've never heard of an animal that reproduces as much as a rooster. So maybe you guys know of other ones. I know rabbits. That's why there's certain sayings with bunnies. But I know rabbits also have a drive. But it'd be interesting. I'm going to look it up. You guys can vote. Who has more testosterone, a rabbit or a rooster? What? Dr. Dean came in. What are you doing, honey? Why are you crawling on the floor? That's my power cord. Oh, it's not plugged in here. That is funny. So I'm talking about testosterone. And honey, what is your vote? Roosters versus rabbits. What animal has higher testosterone?
Roosters, 10 to 30 times a day.
So Dr. Dean says roosters. His vote is roosters. You guys can let me know what your vote is. Oh my goodness.
Daddy's funny.
Daddy is funny. Okay, so free range is best. Yes. Kids raise pigs for 4-H. That's awesome. Videos that people put apple cider vinegar in the water. Okay, interesting. Depends on the breed of the rooster. Some are more aggressive than others. That makes sense, Christy. Lucy says rooster. So more testosterone rooster. I have to figure out how I'm going to find this data. Alice says, hi, Dr. Dean. That's hilarious. You guys are all saying rooster over rabbit. Interesting. So I'm going to check that out. I'm going to see which has more testosterone. So my whole point of this is we definitely want to make sure that if you're raising animals, your chickens, your pigs, whatever, what you're feeding them is very, very important. If you're feeding them stuff with antibiotics, and I'm not a veterinarian, I'm not a poultry vet, I'm not giving you medical advice for your chickens, right? But just I want you to take a look at whatever you're feeding them. If you're going to eat them, you're going to consume it too. Okay, and then love. So keeping this in a bird theme, right? Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about with flu is I had a patient today and they were asking me about the flu shot, right? Dr. Palmer, what do you think? Should I get the flu shot? And so to me, this is my opinion. If you can still get the flu with the flu shot, what is the purpose? What is the point? Why would you do that, right? And what drives me crazy is people that are pushing this shot seem to push it on people that are afraid, right? And so this poor gentleman was afraid. He's like, my doctor says I should have it. I could die if I don't have it. If I get the flu, I'll have a weaker version of the flu. And then he turns around and he tells me, but I got the flu shot like 10 years ago. And when I got it, I got super, super sick. And I said to myself, I'll never get the flu shot ever again. And so I said, okay, well, you learn by your experiences in life and you learn by observation. So 10 years ago, you took the shot, you took the flu shot, you got super, super sick with the flu. It didn't work and you got sick. So what's the point? What do you think has changed? He goes, well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, well, you got to trust yourself. Your doctor works for you. So if your doctor is giving you advice and it doesn't make sense to you, then ask more questions, right? You might ask, can I still get the flu with the flu shot? What are the side effects of the flu shot? What's in the flu shot? If I were to get this shot, how long would I have any positive effects? How long would I have any negative effects? Have you had patients get this flu shot and still get the flu? You are allowed to ask your physician questions. And if your physician, if I'm your physician and you don't feel like I'm doing a good job, you can fire me, right? And if you feel like your physician is not doing a good job, you can get another physician. Okay. And then with love, so with love doves, right? So let me know if you guys are still tracking with me. I feel like my screen locked up at some point. But love, I was thinking about birds because this is a bird theme. So I had to tell you the rooster story because that was hilarious to me. And then I had to tell you, the chicken peacock story because I thought that was hilarious. And then I wanted to bring up those other points. But when you think about our society, and you think about what's happening, there's different emotions that come, right? So some of you guys may be angry as hell, and I totally understand because I've been there too. And some of you guys may just want to cry your eyes out, and I have totally been there too. And some of you guys are just thinking we're watching a movie and you're laughing hysterically at how freaking ridiculous this is. And I've been there too, right? And so you can go through these different ranges of emotions, and it's not that one's right and one's wrong. That could totally happen. But what I would like you to consider, I was actually talking to one of my staff about this, is I want you to, whether it's your spouse or your kids or your siblings or your parents, I want you to really think about what do you love about them, right? Because we all have our flaws. Like my husband was laughing earlier because I was filming something on Zoom and he's like, well, when you're on Zoom, you need to hit this button. And if you don't do it that way, it's wrong. And I'm like, all right, well, I just did the Zoom meeting and I think it was fine. And he said, I don't listen to him. And I'm like, okay. So he thinks I don't listen to him. And I think sometimes he doesn't listen to me. Anybody else have that happen with your spouse, right? And then I think about all the amazing people that my husband has helped internationally on his show or via telehealth. And any little tiny flaw, whether it's socks on the floor or toilet seat up or forgot to do something, any tiny little thing is minuscule compared to the love that he has for myself, for Leah. I don't know about Rio. I think a lot of times it's enforced love because he knows that I love Rio. I love our dog. But then I think the dog drives him crazy. but in love for our world and our planet, because really he could just, see patients, get home, watch the sporting event, watch whatever on TV. He loves WrestleMania. And by the way, he's really excited because Leah was watching WrestleMania and she was like, well, mommy, if they do gymnastics, I do gymnastics. And I looked at him and I'm like, honey, I know you love WrestleMania. I know Leah loves gymnastics. I know there is times where Leah likes to be in the spotlight. You guys have seen her sneak on various different channels that we're on, but also she loves doing Homeschool Live, not afraid of cameras. And so I could totally see like the wheels turning in his head on Leah. My daughter does gymnastics. She loves being in front of camera. You put those two together with a little bit of um, WrestleMania action, and boom, there you go. And I was like, oh, as a mom, I was like, no. I mean, you guys have to let me know. Would you be okay if your daughter, those of you that have daughters, would you be okay if your daughter wanted to do WrestleMania? If your daughter wanted to do professional wrestling, would you be okay with that? Yeah, Emily, I know he's so excited about that, right? He wants to take her to WrestleMania. I'm like, do you really think that's appropriate? Like, no, the guys in the little tiny outfits and the girls in the little tiny outfits and the violence and the drinking and the like. I don't think it's a really like teaching core values. Although I'm sure he would argue with me that like wrestle guy so and so would be like teaches you life lessons. I don't know. And so it's hard as a parent because part of me wants to allow my child to make her own decisions to become whatever she wants in this world. And then the other part, the mama part of me is like, oh, hell no. No way. I don't want her doing that. I don't want any part of that. Right. So you guys could let me know, or, would you let your daughter do that? And then, say it's a no, how would you stop them? Like those of you that watch WrestleMania, there's that football quarterback, and it was his dream to be in WrestleMania, and he was like super, super excited about it, right? So Dolly says not really about letting her daughter do that. So so I want you guys to focus on, instead of that your husband or your wife leaves their sock on the floor or forgets to do this or whatever, I want you to focus on, and maybe even make like a note. I want you to focus on what you love about them and what they do well and what you're proud of them for doing. And so with my husband, I love that he is very open and he shares with the world things that will help improve people's health. He shares positive news. He shares fun things about the family. I'm totally fine with that. He shares his experiences. So he was just talking to a group of docs that we're friends with this past weekend, and he was sharing how he really knew he wanted to help people because he saw kind of a horrible story, but he saw his grandma have a heart attack and basically did CPR on her to try to revive her. And he shared that story, and he shared the story about his his grandfather suffering through pancreatic cancer. And a lot of people don't know, but Jason was his grandfather's primary caretaker. Like he lived with him and took care of him till the end. And that's really tough. Those of you that have had loved ones that you've helped with that kind of disease, like you guys are angelic. Like that's a lot to confront, right? So take a moment. You can let your spouse know what you love about them. Please let your kids know what you love about them. Animals understand. You can let them your coworkers, what you love about them. You have to be all weird about it, but we do at our staff meeting, we do shout outs. So, anybody on our staff could do a shout out for anyone. And I'll ask like, hey, so-and-so, do you have a shout out for anyone? And it's really awesome to hear the appreciation and to hear the love and to hear the positivity coming from our staff, right? And so I encourage you, if you're a business owner, I encourage you to, make sure you're acknowledging positive behavior, positive work for the team. If you're a husband or a wife, I encourage you to tell your spouse what you love about them, and don't go into, I love this, 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 but I don't like this, this. Don't do that. Just, um, I love this about you. Tell your kids, please, please, please tell your kids what you love about them. And when you do that with a high tone, when you do that with positivity, things shift, things change. I went to a camp when I was a kid. You guys can let me know if you were Girl Scouts. And went to this Girl Scout camp in Miami. And I remember this camp counselor, I must have been in fourth grade. Fourth grade for me, for whatever reason, was a very changing point in my life, a very identifying point in my life. I don't know if you guys felt this about fourth grade, but it was just like a very memorable year, I guess I could say. And so I'm in fourth grade and I go to this Girl Scout camp, and I still remember to this day the acknowledgement I got from my camp counselor. And you guys can let me know if you want to hear it. But the acknowledgement that I got was so profound in some ways, but also so simple in other ways. And it really helped me throughout my life, kind of carry me through difficult situations and gave me confidence. And it was such a simple thing that she said. And I just really appreciate that she took the time to tell me. And so she told me, she said, Lisa, you have an amazing smile. Never stop smiling. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is like, and it was done with such acknowledgement, and it was done with such validation, and it was done with such great communication, and it was done in such a loving way that I didn't know this lady. She was a she was a camp counselor. She was my swim. They had an amazing Olympic sized pool at this Girl Scout camp. You guys can let me know if you ever went to Camp Choey, I think that's the name, down in Miami. And she was awesome. And she just really acknowledged my positive attitude. And in times in my life where life gets challenging or rough or whatever, I would just remember what she said and put on a smile and push through. And it was really helpful. So there's your challenge for tonight. Who can you acknowledge? Who can you show some love to? Maybe not rooster love, because that's a little aggressive, but who can you encourage today? Who can you give a smile to? Who can you give some positive words to? Alyssa says, and Alyssa's awesome. She's a teacher. And she said people can really speak like into another person and change their life trajectory. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most rewarding things as educators, as teachers, as instructors, as leaders, as camp counselors, as Girl Scout troop leaders, as parents, as friends, is you can speak truth, you can speak positivity, you can speak encouragement, and just like, I don't want to sound like geeky, but you can change the world that way, right? Okay, cool. All right. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on our backyard rooster, cockadoodle doo, chicken, health, love live. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Give someone a smile. You guys are hilarious. Tiffany, the chicken. Graphic is super funny. So anyways, I hope this is encouraging. I hope you found this helpful. Have a great night. I'm Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear. Good night.